welcome to All Business Media TV. I'm your host, Rick Delgado, and this is the simple path to your own spiritual enlightenment. Our leader on the path is our returning guest, Patty Horton. Patty, welcome back, and how are you?
I'm fantastic. Thank you for having me. Very excited to be here.
Well, I'm glad that you came back and joined us. And last time you were here, we had a lot of fun.
We did.
You know, we also have some Kleenex just in case for this time.
Well, you know, people cry.
Yeah, I know. But before we get started, why don't you tell everybody a little bit about yourself and exactly what you do?
I'm a medium. My name is Patty Horton. I am from the state of Illinois, a suburb out of Chicago, and I do readings. I've been a medium for 35 years, and I connect to the spirit world, and I open up the spirit world's voice, and I become the vessel, and I communicate the information to the people who sit before me.
Right, and you do a few different things, right? Because you're a psychic and you're a medium. Now, what's the difference between being a psychic and being a medium?
I'm a medium. I don't ever call myself a psychic because I was born a medium, and so that's my natural born ability and gift, but we all have psychic abilities.
Okay.
And so anything that might come in psychically is just because it's part of the essence of who we all are. But all of my ability to do readings is from that of a medium.
Okay. So when people, you know, contact you and say they want to do a reading, how does that look, and what can they expect from the reading?
Well, I tell them, please don't tell me anything about your life, and people will get me on the phone. And I'm like, listen, I have to go. Just text me and let me know what your availability is. And then when we sit for the reading, allow me to let the spirit world speak to the essence of your soul and where I find you at during the reading, and allow both worlds to collide. So I speak to the essence of your soul and pull forward the wisdom of the spirit guides and teachers, and I allow those who have crossed over to make their presence known should they have something important to say during the time of the reading.
So you talk to dead people.
I do, but you know what? They are more alive than you and I.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so they're just people that live in another place.
All right, that is tough for, I think, a lot of people to understand.
Yeah.
But in terms of, you know, what you do for people, so when someone contacts you for a reading, what kind of things are they looking for? Are they looking for the normal stuff like, am I going to win the lottery, or you know, am I going to meet Mr. or Mrs. Perfect so I can finally end being alone and being a loser?
You know, some people want to come because they want to know where they're going in their life, where's their path. You know, they want to know about their spiritual gifts. Some people come just to hear me channel, and I pull forward the information that speaks to the essence of their soul. Other people want to hear from their loved ones in the spirit world. But as the spirit guides and teachers always tell the sitters who sit before me, we allow them to show up, but we want you to remember that they have already lived their lives, and it's now time for you to live yours. And it's really a great, beautiful philosophy. It's very simple to understand, so we can move forward in our life, you know, so we don't get stuck in grief.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Well, you know what? And you've been doing this for a long time. How long again?
Oh my gosh, I've been working with my gifts diligently for 35 years, except 10 years prior, when I was 8 years old, I had my first connection with the spirit world.
Yeah, and that's the part that gets me. Being 8 years old, I know if I was 8 years old and stuff like that happened, I would probably assume that everybody could do it. Was that? You
know, when children are children up to the age of 6 years old, the veil is, there is no veil. So they're able to communicate with the spirit world very easily. Like a 3-year-old might mention, I just saw Uncle Joe driving in a car. Even though they don't know who Uncle Joe is, there's that connection there. And so when we're very young, when children are that young, I always tell people, get a journal and start writing about what your child tells you. And when they become 21 years old, or they're getting married, give it to them as a gift so that they can see how open and awake they were. Because the beautiful simplicity about doing this work is we want to awaken, and we don't ever want to go to sleep.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of which, you also you're a medium.
I am.
What else do you do?
I'm a medium. I'm a spiritual teacher, and I'm a trance medium. So I do full trance communication. So I do sittings.
Which means what?
That means that I allow, they're called seances, and so back in the day, in the 1800s, they had seances all the time, and some people use it as a fraudulent way to make money, but there were legitimate people who in the trance control could bring forward apports or communicate and allow the spirit world to blend their mind's energy with the medium's mind, and then they actually take control of the medium's body as the medium surrenders and moves out of the way and allows the spirit people to step forward and communicate to the
So it's almost like it's Patrick Swayze becoming Whoopi Goldberg in Ghost.
No, not, well, okay, you know, that's kind of Hollywoodish. Yeah, you know, but no, Uncle Joe's not going to, you know, they don't jump in and out of you and tell you where the gold is buried. You know, it just doesn't work that way. I know. That's too bad. So when you're in the full trance communication, in the full trance state, it really is a beautiful experience. And when I come out, people go, "Oh my God, that was so amazing!" And I'll always look at my assistant Marilyn, who I call her my guard dog. And people are like, "You have a guard dog named Marilyn?" I'm like, "No, it's my assistant, and she takes care of me while I'm in the trance state, and she tells me of all the wonderful things that happen." So then I keep track of them on a computer, but I wait months and months and months before I view them.
Right. And do you record these for the people that are sitting, or no?
No, I don't.
Okay.
I record them for myself because so much beautiful information comes through during the time when the channel is open and the council steps forward and speaks. It's like nothing you've ever heard, because it won't be of my own language. It will come from a different place, except their mind blends with my mind. When I do mediumship from this conscious state, their mind blends with my mind, and that's how I gather the information. So in a sense, I do it from a conscious state. When it's from an unconscious state, it's a completely different experience.
Okay. Now, another thing you do, which you made mention before we came on, was you read palms.
Yeah, you know, it's just another fun way. And like I had told you, the first lady I ever sat with at 18 years old, I remember her reading my hands, and I thought it was amazing and incredible. So I kind of found a way to understand it on my own, and the hands can tell a story all of their own. And one hand, your non-dominant hand, becomes like the blueprint, and it tells a story of your soul. And the other hand, your dominant hand, allows all of the information about how you're living your life to make its presence known. So your gifts really appear in both hands, but the blueprint of your soul predominantly shows in the non-dominant hand, from the way of my understanding.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, and with that said, I did agree.
He did agree.
I did agree to let you. I'm sitting here like this, like trying to cover up my hands, but I did agree for you to look at my hands.
I've seen some incredible things on the job site. I was on a job site once, and we were all sitting huddled inside of a Connex box because it was raining outside. And then the conversation about what I do came up, and there was a gentleman standing there, and he had his hands they were open so I could see them. And I began speaking to him, and then he laid them open for me, and you could see where he saved someone's life. And he was a fireman, and he saved someone's life, and he said nobody knew about that, but it showed very clearly in his hand. But it was also, it showed in his hand, but it was also my ability to tune into his energy, because this is another invitation in. It's just it's a fun way for people who might be a little frightened or think that something scary is going to happen during a reading. It's just a fun way for the spirit world to come in and talk to you in a way where you can gain understanding and not feel like you're being, pried open and your life is spilled out on the desk.
Well, I think that's probably, and before I turn my hands over, I think that's probably where my nervousness comes in. Yeah. And probably a lot of other people's, to be quite honest, is because, maybe they've done a few things. Maybe they don't want to know that, hey, I'm kind of a sexual deviant in my personal life, but I don't want that to show up where someone can see it.
Well, listen, this is the way that it works, and if
and I'm not admitting.
I was going to say, if that's in your hands, you should keep that quiet. But this is the way that it works. Our soul has free wills, and us as human beings have free will. So if there's something that you don't want revealed, you have a right to keep that a secret. And so if you choose to keep it a secret, your soul won't reveal it regardless of who you're sitting before.
Even if you're thinking about it, though?
Well, if you're thinking about it, you kind of bring it into the awareness.
Jesus. All right, that's not good. So here's my hands. There you go. That's all you get. I'm kidding. All right, so yes. So I'm actually rubbing them because they're a little cold.
And that's
is that going to help? Am I going to get a better reading if they're warmer?
You're not going to get a better reading if they're warmer. Okay. And the thing about it is, though, that's a way that people tune into energy. So if you rub your hands together and then you go like this, you can begin to feel the energy, and you can play with the ball of energy within your hand, so you become aware of your own energy. So what you're doing is a step to really understand your own energy. So I really like it that you're rubbing your hands together that way.
All right. So it's almost like the Mr. Miyagi thing.
I did that on a job site once, and the guy said, I had them all feeling their own energy, and they were having a good time, and the one guy dropped his hands, and he looked at me, he said, if anybody shows up, tell them we're doing our morning stretches. So anyway,
all right. So which one do you need? Do you need both?
Just flip them over.
Just flip them over.
Are you right-handed?
Yes.
Okay. So you can flip them. So when I look into your hands and I really see in your left hand and your right hand, it really shows your ability to love, and you really came here on on a wave of unconditional love, and you lead with your heart more than you do with your head. Even though you might think that you lead with your head, I have the feeling that you get wounded very easily. Is that true?
I would say so, sure.
You know, and so it really shows in your hand. So when I look at your hand, it shows that vulnerability in your heart. And so I lead with my heart. I don't lead with my head, because it's all about your heart line is what I'm seeing in your hand. And it also shows me that there's two separate paths that you could have chosen to walk this lifetime. And so you have two dedicated paths that you choose to walk. So you could have gone either way. You know, so you came back here to do two separate things within your lifetime, but you're really kind of strutting along on this path. But don't be surprised if something doesn't present itself and all of a sudden you go, oh, you know, I think I might want to do that, because there's something else for you. It also shows your creativity. So in what they call is the Mound of Luna, it shows your creativity. So it shows that you're a very creative person. It shows that you have, you came back here and you use your mind and you think, and you're not afraid to try those ideas. So it really shows where the creativity in your left hand of the blueprint of your life, and the things that you've taken, the opportunities that you've taken and created. So there's a lot of creativity with you just by looking at your hands. And I know that some of these things are true about you, because I only know that we don't know each other very much. This is only the second time we've ever met. So I don't know a lot about you, but those are the strongest things that show in your hand. And you know, everyone's always like, oh my God, my lifeline, is it short? And no, it's not. It's not short, and it doesn't matter where your lifeline ends. It just kind of shows how you're living your life. And that's the way that I look at it. How is Rick living his life?
Right.
Is Rick living his life the way that he wants to, or is Rick living his life the way he thinks other people want him to live? Because that becomes a problem for you in your life. Is that true?
Yeah. Why did you bring that up?
No, is that true?
Probably, yes.
You know, I mean,
would say yes.
Okay, so you would know that. So
Yeah.
you have to really kind of start standing in your own power and living to your own truth, instead of worrying about how do I live to make other people happy, and come back and make yourself happy. Make sense?
Yeah.
And so that's just kind of the simplicity of what I see in the hands, without going too deep, because I know you're very private, and I know that this stuff scares you for some reason. So this is just kind of an idea of how someone could step forward and give you some information about your life, knowing that we're not going to, you know, suck your soul out and put it in a jar, and I'm going to stick it in my closet. And,
or just know all the sordid little details, you know. It's like all the skeletons in my closet.
Right, you know, and
I want to keep them there.
You know what? Who doesn't have skeletons in their closet? And
Right.
one thing you need to know, the more you stuff in that closet, the less likely that door is going to stay shut. So it's best for you to begin to clean those things out and address the skeletons in your closet, so that you can move beyond them.
Right.
Because when we tether ourselves to the skeletons in our closet, we tether ourselves to the past. So whatever's holding you back in the past, it's time to say goodbye. Thank it for teaching you what it had to teach you, even if it was hard, and even if it was embarrassing, and even if it was humiliating. Thank it. Because now, once you thank it, that means that it can't hold you captive anymore, prisoner.
All right.
Isn't that a wonderful thing?
That is.
And
Great
that's
idea.
the simplicity of life. The
And
simplicity
that's the path, the spiritual path, right?
Absolutely.
See how I made that whole tie in there? All right. Enough
so
about me.
cute.
Enough about me. Let's talk to some of the people in the audience. Patty's going to be doing some readings.
I am.
So we're going to be doing that starting now.
Yes, and you know, and all of you people that are sitting out in the audience today, I do want to tell you, each of you, please get out of your own literal thinking mind, because when the spirit world presents itself to you, it presents itself in a way to speak to you, to the essence of your soul. Don't step before the medium and say, I only want to hear one thing, because sometimes the spirit world has a surprise in their back pocket to deliver to you. So I say, please be open-minded and receptive to what comes through, because when you do that, you do yourselves a favor. You're each doing yourself a great service here tonight by watching a medium in action. Somebody who's sitting before you, and you can see their energy working, and you'll know if they're an energetic match for you. I encourage anybody who wants to see a medium or wants to sit before someone who does reading, go see them do a public demonstration, because when they work in the public forum, then you know the essence of who they really are. So.
All right.
All right.
And with that said, let's get the reading started.
Let's do it. Hi, what's your name?
Hi, my name's Taylor.
Hi, Taylor. How are you?
I'm doing really good. How are you?
I'm great. You know, when I come into your vibration with love and I look into your eyes, and I really pick up a sense that you have the ability to communicate with the spirit world, and you have the ability to see things and know things. Has anybody ever told you that?
No.
Because there's an ability within you that can see, because when I look at you, I can see the clarity within your eyes and within your soul. And it's really funny because you step up to the table, and do you have a grandmother in the spirit world?
Yes.
Because I want to connect to a grandmother in the spirit world, and she makes her presence known, and she makes me feel that there's a commonality between you both. So this grandmother figure makes her presence known. She also references the cancer. So who had the cancer, or where's the cancer in the family?
My mother's side.
Okay, so this grandmother references the cancer. So she's referencing the cancer. Is this the grandmother that is on your mom's side in the spirit world that I'm speaking about? Because she doesn't dictate what side she comes from, but she references the cancer in the family. So she wants to talk about the cancer. So the cancer falls on mom's side of the family?
Yes.
Okay, let's see where she wants to go with the cancer. And she's also, is somebody, are you going through testing, or who's going through the testing? She's talking about the testing or the medical testing. So where's the testing coming into play?
My mother's mother, so my...
Okay, so she's talking about the testing and the medical testing, so she's very much aware of what your mom is going through. So she's kind of drawing closer, drawing near, because she wants to make her presence known. She wants to be there as a support system, because she makes me feel that she was a great support system when she was alive. Is that true?
Yes.
And so she wants to make sure that it's almost as if, she wants to bring them the chicken soup, or she wants to have the cup of coffee, or she wants to say, is there something that I can do for you? So she makes me feel like that's the kind of woman and human being that she was in the living world, and she wants to make her presence known while she's in the spirit world. And she says that, and she teases me a little bit. She says this is the living world too. So your grandmother makes me feel that if you're incorrect, she'll correct you. Is that true about her?
Yes.
Because she wants to correct me, and she wants to stop me in my tracks, and she wants to, give me a little correction, and she wants to make sure that I communicate in the exact way that she would. So she makes me feel that she was very deliberate in a way that she would speak and in her actions. She makes me feel that she followed through on things. The follow through is very important for her. So she wants to follow through on this, because she makes me feel that somebody's going to need support with the testing that's going on. So is mom having a little bit of a difficult time with grandma's testing?
Yes.
So she comes in, so she's talking about that. So she's asking, you to step forward and be that support system for your mom. So are you doing that?
Yes.
Okay, so she wants to, she's making a reference, she's making me feel that that's very important. And she makes me feel that this is where you pull forward who she was in the living world. So that's where she says the common bond comes forward, because you step forward in the shoes that she would have, because she says that it takes a person of great strength to stand with those who are in moments in their life where they're facing difficult times, especially around health. So she says that you have that great strength. And then she also talks about speaking. So did you speak at her funeral, or she's talking about the speaking? Did you speak on her behalf, or have you spoken on someone's behalf? She's talking about the speaking. Are you doing any kind of speaking? Have you done public speaking? She's talking about the speaking.
I have.
Okay, so don't be surprised if you don't speak at somebody's funeral. Don't be surprised if you don't have to write that eulogy and stand there in that great strength and say what you have to say. Not saying that your grandmother, eventually everybody passes away, but she's talking about how powerful this is and how healing it is. Because she says when you can pull forward the moments of those who once walked the earth and were alive, it gives people a point of remembrance, and so you bring the memories to life. And so she says you have a great ability as a public speaker. Did you know that?
No, actually I didn't. But
So-
I've been working on it.
So, but you said you do some public speaking, yes?
Yes.
Okay, yeah. So look for it to morph into something else. You're going to take that skill and you're going to put it where it's needed. But she comes around the backside and she says thank you. And she thanks you for being that pillar of strength, because she knows what it takes to be the pillar of strength. And she also talks about one of her children. Is one of her children in the spirit world with her? She talks about a child in the spirit world.
Yes.
And so she talks about the child in the spirit world, and the child in the spirit world is there with her. So she references that. So she makes me feel like she has one of her own with her. So she talks about that. She also connects me to the cherries or the cherry tree. The cherries are the cherry tree. The cherries are the cherry tree. And she connects me to picking the cherries. So
You might have to, if you can't connect the dots, you're going to have to ask, but she's referencing the picking of the cherry. So are you aware of the fruit picking by this grandmother?
No.
Okay, so she talks about this, so she's asking you to go back, do your research. You're going to find out where the cherry picking comes from. She also references the pie baking. So was she a pie baker?
Yeah.
So she makes me feel like the cherries were something that they made pies with. So does she like cherry pie?
Yes.
I hate cherry pie. And so back in the day, she's making me feel as if they picked the cherries themselves and they split them, they pitted them, and she made the cherries. And she said, and she talks about them cooking them down. And she makes me feel like there's a great joy. She got great pleasure out of being able to cook those pies and cook those fruits on the stove. She also talks about the jelly jars. Did she jelly? Mm-hmm. And so she talks about the jelly. So who's not doing that anymore? Who in the family? She's asking, is somebody not doing it? Is there somebody in the family that was doing that's not doing it? She talks about wanting to bring it back to life. So where has it fallen away?
Probably my cousin.
So she talks about that. So so she asks you to remind them. She thinks it's very important, but she also thinks it's important when family is together and they do it as one. Mm-hmm. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does.
And so this is really important. So she comes through. She makes me feel she was a very important person in the family, but she also makes me feel she was a matriarch in the family. So she takes her rightful place here today, and what an honor and a gift that is. Mm-hmm. You know, and it's really funny because I see a big question mark over your head. So I feel like you have a question. Did you have a question? And they're showing me the question mark, and I can see it very clearly over your head. So now's your opportunity to ask me something if there was something you would like to ask me. Because I'm open to questions if you have one.
Can I ask her a question?
Sure.
How come I feel like she hasn't visited me.
She's visiting you now. So that's hysterical. You said she doesn't visit you, and she says, I'm visiting her now. So she makes me feel that she's not going to come through with firecrackers and fireworks, and it's not going to be all that. She makes me feel she comes through with things that are more subtle. So it's not going to be where all of a sudden, you know, a light's going to blow out. But she makes me feel she comes forward in subtle ways. She says she comes through in a thought wave. You might think of her. She comes through in moments where you're thinking of her. So do you think of her?
Yeah.
And when you're thinking of her and she comes into your awareness, say, Grandma, I know you're near. What is your message for me? And stop yourself and begin to feel her essence, because then she can draw closer to you and she can reveal those messages to you. But she says she comes to you now because she shares her great strength with you, because she says it's very much needed. And you're going to see where it's going to be needed more clearly as the months progress, as you get into more of these things of what the test revealed. Because I am not a medical doctor, so I won't, you know, I can give you medical information, but I can't give you medical direction. Mm-hmm. But she talks about this, so she says, I'm here now. You know, so she kind of chuckles at you a little bit. Yeah. So she teases you. So she has made her presence known here. Is that who you came to see tonight?
Yeah.
So very good. So I'm going to leave you with that. So God bless you.
Thank you so much.
You're very welcome.
Awesome. Thanks.
So what's your name?
Chris.
Hi, Chris. Nice to meet you. I'm Patty.
Hi, how you doing?
Have you ever had a reading before?
No, I haven't.
Okay, so I just want to tell you just to relax and kind of breathe and just be open to the information that comes through for you, because I really want to go back in life for you. I want to go back to when you were a child. So I want to kind of be focusing on where I was in a child and where I find myself at now. So the spirit world takes me right back there. So I really want to be in that sweet spot. I want to be in that time from 7 years old to 9 years old. I feel like I was really finding my way. But I also feel that did you find it difficult to have a lot of close friendships when you were a child?
I had a couple of close friends.
You know, a couple, but not a lot, so
Yeah.
your circle was small. Because they talk about, you know, I really feel like that circle for you was kind of small. And so as I bring myself into my adulthood, even though I might work around a lot of people, my circle of friendship is still very small. Is that true?
Yeah.
And so it's funny, too, because I want to connect to a swimming pool for you. So did you have a swimming pool when you were a child in your backyard? Or
I
was this-
did, yeah, actually.
Yeah, because I want to connect to the swimming pool. So I want to be in the backyard. I want to be in the pool. And they're giving me 3. So were you one of 3?
Actually, I was one of 4.
One of 4. So they're giving me one of 3 for some reason. So are you the 3rd?
Yes, that I
Okay,
am.
thank you. So I want to. You're one of 3. So I want to be. So you're that 3rd child in the link. So they're giving me that 3. I feel, you were that one of those middle child, so you had to figure your way through life, and that was okay. But the one, okay, I want to connect to your mom. Is your mom in the spirit world, or is she
Yes,
here?
she is.
She is in the spirit world,
Yes.
because I want to connect to mom. So mom wants to make her presence known. She makes her presence known here today, and she connects me to all of these childhood memories. She tells me that you are a very sensitive child, and she was very well aware of your sensitivities. So she knew that you were sensitive, and she knew that you were. She loved that about you, she said, but she also said that at times when she had to deal with all the other children, sometimes your sensitivities, she feels like she wants to let you know she didn't mean to sweep them under the table. So she makes me feel at times that, you might have been a little oversensitive, and sometimes she would, have to kind of, tell you to toughen up a little bit or just kind of brush it off or whatever it was. But she steps forward today to say that she didn't mean to do that. She wasn't trying to ignore you. She makes me feel she had a lot on her plate, and she was shuffling a lot of things. Is that true about your mom?
Yeah, she had 4 boys.
Yeah. So she says, she makes me feel like you are her most sensitive one. There's a sweetness about you. She also connects me to the church for some reason. Does she go to the church?
We didn't go to church a lot,
So
actually,
she
no.
connects me to the church, though, but she connects me to the church for some reason. So there must have been, there was some kind of a church fall away or something with the church. So she wants to connect me to the church for some reason. So this is really important and something that she might have brought into the marriage, but having 4 boys might have pulled her away, because she makes me feel like the church was important, whether the church was important to her as a child and between her and her mother. And then she shows me too, she shows me a scarf that she wore around her head, and she ties it. And is there a picture of her? She makes me feel like I have a scarf and I have it tied around my head, and she's referencing a picture. Were you recently looking at a picture of her with a scarf around her head?
I don't believe so. I know she wore something on her head, whenever she went outside.
Okay, so she's showing this. So don't be surprised if you don't come across it, because she's referencing a certain picture. So don't be surprised if you don't start going through her things and then the picture of the scarf, because she shows me herself with the scarf on her head. She makes me feel that she had, I know this is going to sound odd, but she's also connecting me. Was there somebody in the family, somebody on her side of the family that worked in the meat department, or worked in the meat department, or was a butcher? Because she's connecting me to the butchering of animals.
I don't know about that. I know my father did some deer hunting.
She's connecting me to the butchering of the animals, whether she's connecting to your father and the deer hunting or what it was, but she's referencing somebody in the family that used to butcher meat. So she's referencing the butchering of the meat. So whether it's there, but I really want to connect back with her. So do a little, sometimes we have to become that investigator, but she's connecting me also because they see somebody, they have the apron on, they have the white apron on, the white shirt, they have the blood stains on the thing from doing the working in the butcher department. So see who that might be. Just stick that in the pocket and save it for later, because it will make sense when you go and do your research. So she's connecting to these little things about her life. She's giving me the number 7 around her. Was she one of 7? She's giving me
I don't think so.
And she's
I think
giving me
she
7.
was 2.
She's giving me 7. 7, 7, 7, 7, 7 is significant for her. 7, 7, 7. Was her birthday on the 7th? Did she pass away on the 7th? Was she born in the month of July? She's giving me the 7 as being very significant. She wants to give me this
That's
number.
really weird. I don't know where the 7 is.
So see where the 7 comes into play, because the 7 is very important. So she gives me this number 7. 7 is important for her life. 7 is significant. She's giving me 7. She connects it to the family. Was anybody born on the 7th of a month? Anybody born in the month of July? So see where that all comes into play, because she's connecting me to the 7. She says it's very, very important. She also says you're very much of a literal thinker. So you're when you think in very literal terms. So if somebody was to come and tell you something, even if they were to tell you a lie, you would take it as truth, and then you get wounded or hurt because they have lied to you. So do you find that you're very literal in your thinking, or that you take and so you take people at their word? If someone comes and tells you something, you take it as truth and as gospel, and if it doesn't come true, you're kind of like, oh, I can't believe that, and it's always shocking to you, no matter how many times, because she says you're a very trusting and very open soul. So she says she thanks you for that, and that she loves you for that, and she gives the number 12 as being, I want to be in 12, I want to be in the month of December. How is the month of December significant? I want to be in the month of December, and I want to be at a 12. 12, 12, 12, 12, 12. So see where the month of December is significant around your mom. She brings it forward,
okay? But she gives me it in the number 12, but I want to connect to the month of December. I feel like I want to be, whether there's a birthday in December or
Yeah,
there's,
there is.
and so she references that, and so that's really very important. So she wants to make sure that somebody gets a happy birthday. One of your brothers in the month of December?
My father.
Your father? Your father's still alive?
No, he isn't.
He's not. But she wants to reference that birthday because it's very important. She makes me feel that she was more hands-on. Even though Dad did his thing, she makes me feel that she was more hands-on, and so she was more the front person in the family, in the relationship, in the house. So she talks about this. So she makes me feel that she was a very important part of the family. She makes me feel that her loss was huge for you. So did you have a hard time dealing with the passing of your mom?
I don't know about passing. The couple of weeks right before it.
And so she references that, that's still the passing time. So she references how hard that was for you. And so she wants to come here today to let you know that she is okay. And she wants to let you know that she is close by. And she also, do you often think about your mom and wonder if she's proud of you?
I think about it all the time.
And so she wants to say that she's very proud of you. So if you're thinking or wondering if she's proud of you in the way that your life has turned out, she says, I'm very proud of you, because she says that you're a very good man. And she says a lot of people can learn a lot of things from you. She said that you were very much different than the rest of your brothers. Is that true?
Maybe. Me and my younger brother are kind of technical.
Well, she
together.
says that you were very unique and different than the rest of your siblings. So don't try to think of it as such a literal way, but she wants you to think of it as her acknowledging who you are as a child and who you were growing up into the man that you have become. So if you wonder if she's all right or if she's made it, she wants to let you know that she has. And she's connecting me to the cigarette smoking. Was she a smoker?
Yes.
And so
Her and my father, and
so
my
she's
father got
don't tell me.
esophageal.
Don't tell me. So she's connecting to the cigarette smoking, you've told me about your father, but she connects to the cigarette smoking as being significant. It was a significant part of their lifestyle. She also connects me to the can. So she also connects me whether there was someone who drank the beer and put the butts in the can, but she wants to connect me to the can of beer and the cigarette. So is your father a beer drinker?
He was before I was born.
Okay, that's fine. Doesn't matter. She's connecting to the beer and she's connecting to the cigarettes. So she's making me feel like these things all set him up for the path that led him to the place that he found himself at. So with the esophageal cancer that you're talking about, so she says that the cigarettes, the smoking, and the drinking contributed to what happened in his life. So she just really makes her presence known because she feels it's important for you to get closure in a way, to let you know she acknowledges you thinking of her. She acknowledges that you wonder about her, and she says that she draws near. She also references the newspaper reading. So who was the big newspaper reading? Because I want to page through the newspaper.
Probably her brother.
I want to page. Was your dad though?
Not really much. I think
she's referencing. I want to have the newspaper. I can smell it. You know how the smell of the newspaper is. Did you ever read the newspaper?
Not well.
So
not
see where
often.
the newspaper comes into play because she's referencing the reading of the newspaper. Whether she went and read the newspapers and she got them at the holidays, or where the newspaper, because she's referencing the newspaper as being significant and important. So she references that. But she does draw close and she does acknowledge and let you know that when you think of her. She says, stop for a moment, and when you're thinking of me, I'll make my presence known. She also talks about the clock on, those digital clocks. So do you ever notice certain numbers when you're looking at the clocks, and she comes into the reference of your memory? She's also referencing numbers on a license plate as well. But I want to be back in that December month for some reason, in that 12. So pay attention to those things, because when you think of her, she's connecting me to numbers. And so when you are thinking of her, she says, if you pay attention and start watching the clock, you'll know that when you think of me, I'm acknowledging you here. So God bless you. I'm going to leave you with that.
All right, thank you.
You're very welcome. You're very welcome. All right. What's your name?
Ty.
Hi, Ty. My name's Patty. Nice to meet you. It's really funny because I noticed you right away when you were sitting in the audience, and right away I heard that you wear two different hats, or
you have two different personas. And so I feel like I present myself one way in one part of my life, and I present myself a very different way in another part of my life. So they're talking about these two different people that you are, these two different personas that you push forward into the world. So, you know, whether it's your business world and then in your other part of your life you're somebody different, but they're making me feel like you wear two different hats. Do you find that to be true about yourself?
I agree.
Okay, good, because I feel like I wear two different hats in my life. You know, and they also make me feel that you're very serious, and so there's this seriousness about you, and they also make me feel that you're a big thinker of things. So I find myself, I want to be up in my mind and thinking about things. I'm always trying to figure things out, or I'm calculating things. Do you find that to be true about yourself?
Yeah, I agree.
You know, so you're always up in your head, and so it's almost as if you're that Gemini, and so the Gemini is always in his head, and so the Gemini can be very analytical, very swift, very smart, you know, but then the Gemini has the other side, so your brain really works like that. But they make me feel you're very left brain, so I'm very logical in my thinking. I don't think outside of the box. I don't believe in woo-woo. I don't believe in, you know, BS. So they're making me feel that this is very significant about you. Is that true?
Yeah, I agree.
Okay, good. You know, and it's funny, so who has the tattoo, or the tattoo of the snake on their arm, or the snake tattoo, or the tattoo with the snake, or it's symbolic on the arm, or the tattoo? Where's the tattoo come into play? Because I really want to connect to the tattoo that's symbolic. It almost, when I'm seeing it in my head, I'm seeing it as the reference of a snake. So have you thought about getting a tattoo with a snake? Do you have a tattoo of a snake on your body?
My grandfather has tattoos.
Oh, your grandfather has tattoos? So he's here? Or he said he's in the spirit world. Did he have a tattoo of a snake?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you, because I'm seeing a tattoo of a snake as being very significant. Was it on his arm?
Yeah.
Okay, great. You know, so he's showing me the tattoo. He makes me feel that the tattoos he got, he was, when he got them, he says like he has a couple of them that he kind of didn't think about, you know, he did them, but he makes me feel like later on when he started putting other tattoos on his body, he made sure that they meant something. Is that true?
Somewhat, yeah.
You know, so he's talking about the tattoos and how important it was for him to get them, because he makes me feel like they reference something. I also want to connect to the military for your grandfather. So was he in the military?
Yes, he
because
was.
he wants to connect to the military, and I want to. He makes me, and I don't know if he worked in a division, or he wanted to be a Marine, or he didn't make a Marine, but he's connecting me to the Marine. So whether he worked in a division of where the Marines were, if that's what his aspiration was, but he wants to connect to the Marines for some reason, and I can hear it in my head. So is there a connection to the Marines for your grandfather?
He was Navy, but he wanted me to be in the Marines.
Okay, thank you, because I want to say hoorah.
Yeah.
And so he connects to that, you know, that was very important to him. He definitely wasn't in the Marines, but being a Marine meant something. It was, you know, the top dog, the ultimate, you know, he was all about being number one. He had, you know, I'm number one, nobody was going to beat him. He had a very strong mind, and so it was always about being number one. So did your grandfather use that phrase about being number one?
Not the phrase, but that's how he carried himself.
Yeah, so he believes in that, you know, in that number one, in that military, you know, molded his mind. He makes me feel he was very proud in the service that he did. He makes me feel it was one of his greatest accomplishments. He takes great pride in that service, and he's really focused on that military life. Let's see. Did he go away to war, or did he go to another country? Because he wants to bring me to a wartime. So did he go off? Did he go to another country? He's connecting me to the war.
He went overseas. I forgot which war it was.
So he makes me feel like he was connected to a war, and he went and he served and he did what he had to do. You know, it's funny because he's kind of, you know, your grandfather's very blunt. Would you say that about him? You know, because there's something, you know, he says that, you know, the world doesn't have time for crybabies. So he's all about the phrase crybabies. You know, he doesn't like the people who are crybabies, and he doesn't like people who make excuses for themselves. He's all about people taking accountability and a responsibility for themselves. He's that kind of a man, and so he really steps forward to kind of bring that message forward. So, so you didn't make the Marine, son?
You can say that.
You know, I also want, and I don't know if he did this, but I want to put my hand on your shoulder. So did your grandfather put his hand on your shoulder? Was he one that would come up behind and put his hand on your shoulder? I want to put my hand on your shoulder. Was that something in one of the gestures that he would have done because I want to touch your shoulder?
Yeah.
You know,
yeah.
because I want to grab it, I want to touch it, I want to let you know I'm here, I want to let you know that, you know, and that's how he makes his presence known. And he's almost making me feel like you're struggling with something right now. Is that true?
Yeah.
And so he wants to let you know, he says, get out of your mind, you know, because you're in your head too much. And he says there's no such thing as a problem, there's only a solution. So he steps forward today to let you know that whatever is going on in your life, that there's something at the end of the tunnel. There is, you know, I feel like I'm in the valley right now and I can't see over either side of the hill, so I don't know which way to go. So he kind of steps forward to kind of give you, you know, that nudge, you know, to put those boots on and get to the top of the hill. And he says, look around you, soldier. You know, he's all about the wartime. That takes great pride, but he says it takes great strength to be a man, to be able to pull yourself up out of that foxhole and get on top and see what's going on. So he says, get up out of that foxhole and stand on the top of the hill and look around you. He says, because the answer is clear. So he acknowledges your struggle. He acknowledges what's going on. So he wants to let you know that he's near, but he says that you're getting in your own way of the answer, or you're getting in your own way of the solution. So you're getting in your own way, he says. He says you're very stubborn. Is that true?
Yeah.
So he acknowledges that stubbornness, but he also says that it's that stubbornness that gets in your way, and it's that stubbornness that stops you short from living your life, and it's that stubbornness that's getting in the way of what's going on in your life right now. And so are you, okay, do you have a girlfriend, a wife, or, and so are you having any problems in that area of your life right now?
Not anymore.
Not anymore? Okay, so you've gotten that all squared away. Okay, so were you married and then you went on to a girlfriend?
No, I had problems in my relationship with my girlfriend
Okay, you know.
prior to this conversation.
Okay, so that's all right, great. So he's connecting the dots to having those problems, or you know, with that female partner. So, oh boy, okay, all right, so. I know these are always hard. Whenever I'm struggling with what I want to say because they're pushing it through. So
Making me nervous.
I'm sorry. So does your girlfriend want to get married but you don't? Or are you thinking about buying the ring and you just haven't?
The second one.
So you're thinking about buying the ring and you just have it and something's stopping you short, right?
Yeah.
Because I feel like there's something to do with the ring here, and there's something to do with, do I do it? Do I move forward? Am I going to get it? Because there's a part of her that wants the ring, but there's a part of you that's holding yourself back from it. And what's holding you back from it needs to be kind of reflected upon a little bit, you know, and not to say that she's the one or she's not the one. But they're also asking you to slow down a little bit for some reason. So it's kind of like, I've come out of the mess and then I'm gonna buy a ring. You know what I mean? So they're saying slow down a little bit, and because they're making me feel you still have a few things to work out with your girl. Is that true?
That and just life in general.
You know, so she becomes part of your life and just working out all those other things in your life, and then all of a sudden you come and then she becomes the dumping ground, and so you have to get a grip on the other things that are going on outside of yourself in order to put that ring on her finger and live the happy life. Because it doesn't matter if you put the ring on the finger, they're saying you have to be happy on the inside, and you have to find a way to be happy on the inside, because until you can find that happiness, it's going to be difficult for you to give her the happiness that she wants, because you're fighting an internal battle. It's almost like you're fighting an internal war. Is that true?
That's correct.
Okay. So Grandpa shows up to remind you of what it means to be a Marine, even if you didn't make it to the Marines or whatever happened there. He wants you to remind you of what it means to be a team player, be that Marine, but be that soldier and that strong-willed and minded person, because for him, that's what life is all about. You almost feel like you fell short. I almost want to say I fell short in life. I fell short somewhere. So where are you beating yourself up at? because I want to say that I'm beating
How
myself.
much time you got?
I got like all the time you need, but they're making me feel that you've fallen short in an area of your life. And so when you fall short here, then you fall short there, then you fall short there. I feel like I say I'm never going to be able to do anything right, or I can't do anything right. And so wherever you have that thought in your mind, they're saying you need to correct it. And Grandpa comes forward to lend you some strength. He puts his hand on your shoulder and he reinforces his love for you, yet he reinforces the strength that he knows you have inside of you. And that's why he brings the Marines up, because he says, I know what you're made out of. Because I feel like he brings me back to childhood for you, and he makes me feel that even in childhood you had some very difficult moments. Is that true?
Yeah.
You know, because I feel like it's tense. I feel like, I might have gotten myself in a little bit of trouble, but don't let your troubled moments dictate who you are and where you find yourself at today. Because sometimes you don't want to take that into the workplace. Have you been taking some things into the workplace that don't belong there? Because I feel like I might be carrying, even if you don't
No
think,
work
you
for
don't
me
have
right
any
now.
work? You're out of work?
Yeah.
Did you had a job?
But prior to,
And so you took your problems into your work?
yes.
And so that's a problem. So you have to kind of like separate all of that stuff, and you need to find the balance beneath your feet, because they're telling me that you've been out of balance for quite a long time. So also I must ask you too, were you or did you at one point in your life kind of suffer from depression or take any kind of medication for it, or, find something to balance out those highs and that lows? Was it something that you did as a child, or something that was kind of broached to you about your adulthood that you're kind of like thinking, well, if I take that, then I'm, I don't want to call you a loser, but you know what I'm saying?
I was a drug addict.
Okay. So then that gives you those moments of depression, and so that's where you fight with it. So there's ways to kind of help you get over that hump and figure things out. Yet you can do it in a way where you take responsibility for where you're at and see that you can manage in a different way. So your grandfather steps forward, and I almost want to tell you that I believe in you. And he says, I can believe in you all I want, but until you start believing in yourself, it doesn't make a hill of beans what I think. I mean, your grandfather's no nonsense, in your face, going to tell you like it is, but he also doesn't want you to give up on your life. He doesn't want you to give up on yourself. He doesn't want you to throw the towel in. I feel like I'm at the boxing ring, and I'm just going to let the guy pummel me, and I'm just going to throw the towel, and I'm done. And so I feel like life has beat me up that way a little bit, yes? But I want to tell you that it's a new day. I'm supposed to tell you, too, that, don't let the past dictate who you are now. Because until you get these things squared away, you're going to come back to that situation with your girlfriend, and then all of a sudden that can of worms is going to be opened again. And until you both are on the same page, your relationship is not going to be that healthy relationship of where you want it to be. I feel that I have a little bit of work left to do. I feel like the next 18 months are going to be very significant for you here. I feel like I've come out of something and I want to make a new start in my life, but I'm not exactly sure how. And the new start begins with you. And the new start begins with every thought you have when you wake up in the morning. Because sometimes I feel they're making me feel as if I wake up and my thoughts aren't of a positive nature, or I might be carrying something over from the night before and rehashing it out in the morning. So they're asking you to wake up more with clarity of mind and thought, and stop bringing yesterday into your today. Because what happens is you bring yesterday into your today, and then your today becomes your tomorrow. And it's kind of like a little pattern that you've set up. It's kind of like you set up a little bit of self-destruction for yourself, but you do it because there's a part of you that doesn't think that you deserve anything better. So wherever, I feel like I need to right a few wrongs as well. So whoever in your family you need to right those wrongs with, I feel like you have an open door to be able to do that. And whether it starts in writing a letter or putting it on paper in order to pave the way for that healing to begin and that forgiveness, it has to start with a step. And so does that make sense to you? Mm-hmm. Okay. So I know that was kind of heavy. But your grandfather stepped forward here today to tell you that you have it inside of you. Everything you need is in here. I want to say it's in here. Huh. That's the kind of guy he was. Do you have pictures of him?
Yes.
Do you look at them? Are they up? Is there a special picture of him that's up or out, or something that you look at, something that's close by, something that you can pick up with your hands? Mm-hmm. So he talks about that. So gaze in that picture, look at that grandfather and say, help me. You know, the best thing you can do is say, guide me, teach me, show me, lead me. You know, and allow him to from the spirit world. Because if you can open yourself up to his guidance from the spirit world, he can help you from a different place. Because if he was here, he says physically, he says you two might not be seeing eye to eye right now. Is that true?
It could be, could be.
You know, so.
I mean, no, yes, definitely. Yes, definitely,
Yes,
Yeah.
you know, because he makes me feel that if he was here, you wouldn't be seeing eye to eye, and you wouldn't be on the same level. And there's a part of him that was so trained in discipline that he wouldn't understand the discipline in the lack of discipline within the life. Makes sense?
Yeah.
And so he talks about that. And so he says, now I see it differently. He says, now I can build you up where you might feel as if you have fallen. And this is the greatest gift that you've received in the new year. He's making me feel that. I feel like I wanted to know where I needed to go in the new year. How was I going to make this new year different than my last year? And so this is the gift that he gives to you. And so he gives to you words of wisdom. He says, but it's up to you to use my words of wisdom, because he says, I can't live your life for you, you know? And so wherever it is I feel, okay, so I want to connect to mom. So you're not talking to mom? You're having some problems with mom? You lack of communication?
No, not at all.
So so he wants to connect to mom a little bit here. So what, you know, I want to connect to mom. I don't know if he had a falling out or if there was a lack of communication.
They had their trials and tribulations.
So he talks about that, you know, that lack of communication, or that, you know, those moments and everything. So he wants to make amends there as well. So he wants to make sure that you let your mom know. You know, I want to say almost as if he wants to take responsibility. He makes me feel that he was a little hard. She didn't understand his hardness. You know, there was a part of her that didn't want to raise her children. This is your mom's dad?
Yeah.
There's a part of her that didn't want to raise her children the way that he raised his. Is that true? Mm-hmm. And so he says, you know, he comes in and he takes accountability and responsibility for that. And so he wants to let her know he got the memo. He got it. He understands it. And so he says, you know what, she turned out to be a great mom. So let your mom know that your dad showed up. This is important. He also references an anniversary of something. There's an anniversary coming up.
Well, it just passed.
Okay, so he references the anniversary. So I'm going to leave you with that. And you know what?
Okay.
Chin up, soldier.
Thank you very much.
You're very welcome. God bless you.
You too.
Patty, what can I say? That was a lot of fun and very, very interesting.
It is very interesting when we allow the spirit world to make their presence known through the medium and communicate the information to the sitter. That's what it's all about. We're just the vessel, and we say thank you to the spirit world.
Well, thank you to
You're
Patty
welcome.
Horton. She's been our guest. Of course, she is the owner of Inner Eye Connections. InnerEyeConnections.com is her website. You can give her a call at 630-417-7130. It's the simple path to your own spiritual enlightenment. Make sure to go to the website, InnerEyeConnections.com, 630-417-7130. And Patty, once again, thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me.
You're welcome.